Hey y'all, welcome back to the Prolific Hub podcast. I'm your girl Aaliyah Cheyenne, and this is a solo episode today. Thank y'all for tuning in and bearing with us because this is a little bit later than planned, but still glad to be here. Super funny. In our last episode, our first guest ever on the podcast, Donnie P, asked if we get nervous before we record, and I was like, no. And usually that's because I'm with my co-host or we have a guest or something, but when it is me by myself, I definitely do get nervous. So bear with me. I'm drinking some hot tea. So gonna try to be mindful of the slurping and everything else. Unless you guys want ASMR. In that case, I can slurp, but otherwise I'll try to be mindful. I wanted to start the episode off a little bit differently today. I definitely have had to do some breath work throughout the course of today, just to kind of center myself, regulate my nervous system. So I wanted to kick off the episode with box breathing. So if you don't know what that is, it's a breathing exercise or breathwork exercise that helps to regulate your nervous system, helps to activate, I think, your parasympathetic nervous system, if I'm saying that correctly, and just helps with moments of anxiousness or just a moment of calm, quiet meditation to yourself. So what it is you take a deep breath in for 4, you hold it for 4 counts, you exhale for 4 counts, you hold it again for 4 counts. And you can do that on your own if and when you need it. And, lean on that tool whenever you need it. And if you're not interested in doing it right now for this episode with me, you can definitely skip a minute or two ahead. But for those of you who are down to do it and down to try it, let's go. Let's do a couple of sets of box breaths. So take a deep breath in for 4. Hold. Exhale for 4. Hold. Deep breath in for 4. Hold for 4. Exhale for 4. Hold for 4. Deep breath in for 4. Hold for 4. Exhale for 4. Hold for 4. I don't know about you, but I needed that. So I hope if you joined, you feel a little bit more grounded. And take a sip of my tea. And let's jump in. So this episode is all about navigating seasons of change. We are quite literally in a new month. The spring equinox wasn't too long ago. It's officially a new quarter, a new season. Nature is starting to come back to life, which is really beautiful. And if humanity operated by, I don't know, nature, instead of man-made timing, Gregorian calendars, religious calendars, whatever, we would also be in sync with nature. Our new year wouldn't start like in the dead of winter in January. It would start with spring. So for a lot of people, they start to come more alive during this time of year. It's spring, summer is right around the corner, and a lot of people may be feeling a little bit more awake and energized around just life and things in a way that they weren't during the winter. So for those of you who are treating this time of year, this month as your new year. Happy New Year. We also have, it's also eclipse season, and I'm not an astrology expert at all. I do like astrology, but I'm not an expert at all. But a lot of the astrology pages I follow talk a lot about how the eclipse season is not something to fear. Like, this is a purging season. It's a time for clearing things out of your life, and making space for what is aligned and what is meant to be there. So I hope that quite literally this change in season is good and serves you well. And I hope you're looking forward to the new season. I know I am. I'm excited for consistently warm weather, lots more sunshine, and just a break from the cold and the dead of winter. So I'm excited about that, quite literally. And yeah, I hope you all are too. I think for me as well, this is a changing season in a lot of ways. A lot of things in my personal life have and are changing, and that's okay. And I think I'm in a place where I'm welcoming and embracing the change and doing my best to find the silver lining and the, I don't know, I guess positive in situations. So I'm, looking forward to changes that are on the horizon. I've gained a new perspective on changes in my life that have happened recently as well. It's very funny. I was out with my grandmother today, and I was telling her, reflecting on the fact that in my previous job, obviously I was very unhappy, but I would often regularly talk about how much time I felt like the job was stealing from me. I would spend so much time and energy doing that job, and I often felt like I didn't have time or energy for quality time with her. It was just like wake up, work, eat, hang out little, bed, do it again. And moving into a space as a creative and, more in a freelancing consulting space where I have more flexibility and control over my schedule. It's also in a way like answering a prayer or desire, because I used to always say in therapy that I wanted more time and space to spend time with the people that matter to me, like my grandma. And having more freedom over my time has allowed for that. So just kind of reflecting on the present moment and recognizing in what ways the present moment is an answered prayer, I think is really important. I'm navigating changes in my personal life at home, which is really interesting because I don't know how many of you out there know about the pattern or use it, but it's an app that I do like. Of course, there are a lot of people who feel like there are other ones that are better. Some people use CoStar, some people use Time Passage, like all kinds of different apps. I do like the pattern, I'm not gonna lie. It just simplifies a lot of things for me. But I also got a professional astrological reading, I want to say last November, and it was an annual forecast. So, it shared more about the transits coming up in my chart for 2024 throughout the year. And then another one that was like attraction factor, just more about my personality, what I attract, what is attractive to me, what I like, what is good about me, what is not, what pulls people in, what repels people, like all of that. And in my pattern and also in my professional astrological reading, something that came up was just a lot of changes at home. And it's very interesting to now be in that moment, that part of my pattern and that part of that professional astrological reading where that is happening. So holding space for changes like that, but also not just home in a physical sense, like in the space of where I live, but also thinking about home in terms of being present in my body and what that means. And I do feel like there are some changes and things happening with me physically, mentally, and emotionally that are coming to pass now in a way that I'm trying to be mindful of and aware of and recognize. Just in terms of what I desire from myself, who I desire to surround myself with, like what my needs are, how to have those needs be met, um, what I can do for myself versus what I need help with, and all sorts of different things coming up. So, this is a season of change and transformation in more ways than one. Not just the literal season and the time of year, but just a lot going on at home and in my life and in my body that I'm trying to be present to and ride the waves to. So there's a bit of that too. And yeah, I mean, one quite literal change, one fun change that's going to be happening is, for anyone who knows me personally, y'all know I've been all over the place with my hair. In a previous iteration of this podcast, like I had locks, and I had locks that I started during the pandemic after having braids for a long time, after growing my hair out because I cut it several times, like cut the locks off, growing it out again a little bit. So one fun change that's coming up for me is I'm getting braids because I miss them and I want to give my hair a break. I'm just being in it very roughly every day to get some sort of little twisty look with my mini fro. And yeah, I miss braids. I like having them. So that'll be fun to do, especially in this new season, new look. That'll be fun. I get to experiment with colors again, which I'm really excited about. And yeah, I think I've mentioned on the podcast before, especially during an episode where I spoke about PCOS Awareness Month, Polycystic Ovarian Syndrome Awareness Month, and how a symptom of that is hair thinning and hair loss. And definitely experienced the thinning and a little bit of loss, which is part of what drove me to cut my locks previously, because I felt like it was hyper visible with them, and I didn't feel like the weight and the tension, like as they grew longer and heavier, was helping the situation. I've tried many, many different things to assist it, like natural hair oils, all kinds, Nutrafol. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that for hair thinning, and even prenatal vitamins. Like I have no desire for that to be my experience now, potentially ever. But, there are just more vitamins and prenatal vitamins than many others. And I, thought that would help, and nothing is really helping to fill it in. So, but what I do know is using the little sponge that I use on my little afro to like twist it up is just not good either. And I need to give my hair and where it's thinning a break from that. So that's one change that's coming up that I'm looking forward to. That's kind of fun. So yeah. Other changes in this season are rediscovering my interests and my hobbies. I have some that I have not been consistent with. I've taken pole dancing classes in the past, just wasn't consistent with that, fell off, and I have a strong desire to start that up again. Um, those Pilates reformer classes are really, really expensive, but I feel like I want to treat myself every now and then to trying that too. And yeah, I restarted a gym membership. Um, haven't actually been able to make it work to go to the two little classes, like yoga classes that I want to go to, because I'm always slow to sign up and it's always full by the time I do sign up. And the wait list is like the Hunger Games. So it's been a struggle, but I do, you know, want to make it to like a gentle yoga class that my local YMCA offers, and hopefully at some point get back into swimming. Prior to the pandemic in 2019, I had taken swim lessons at a local gym nearby because I did not know how to swim prior to that. And I wanted to, and I feel more confident as a swimmer than I did then, obviously, because I didn't know how at all. But I'm still not as confident as I would like to be. And I was just telling Tasia the other day that like I can backstroke fine. I can butterfly for short distances, but my front stroke is horrendous. If I had to front stroke to survive, I would not. Like something in my brain just doesn't do the front stroke right. So, I would like to get better at that. So, I think just rediscovering passions and interests while I have time and space to do so. I definitely want to focus on that. So, that is another uh season of change thing that's happening. So, I will keep you guys posted on that, and I would also love to hear what some of your interests and hobbies are. So if you want to share that with us, in a review for the pod, that would be great. If you want to email us at podcast@theprolifichub.com, let us know what some of your interests and hobbies are. If you have tips or ideas or recommendations or just things that you enjoy, like we'd love to hear that. So if you want to share with us, that'd be cool. And yeah, I think the other thing, well, first let me take a sip of my tea. Sorry, it's a good tea. It's mixed with many things, but the primary ingredient is spearmint. And it's a hormone balancing tea that helps people who have like PCOS, endometriosis, and all kinds of other reproductive health issues. So it has become my favorite thing. I put some honey in it, and I usually will also put some flavored sea moss from the company that I like called Nebula Naturals in it, and it's just a sweet treat all the time. So I love this tea. But anyway, some other changes that are coming up are more changes to this podcast. We're very young to be navigating all of the changes that we have been, but yeah, it happens, and that is also going to be something that comes up for us. So I think we'll still probably be seasonal in terms of capacity and bandwidth for episodes, but definitely still interested in having more guests. We have some lined up already that I'm, really excited to record those and share those when they're ready. That'll be really fun and good for our audience. I'm excited about that. But our format and our structure is changing once again. I think, and I've heard and witnessed this on other podcasts as well. I think, in terms of just bandwidth and interest and desire and all of those things, like it fluctuates and it varies. Podcasting is definitely an interest of mine, a passion project of mine, something that I like to do, something that I enjoy listening to. I'm always listening to pods. So I'm excited to continue this journey in a new way and continue to have guests. But in terms of hosts, it will likely continue to be me. If previous hosts drop in as guests in the future. That, of course, will be super fun and awesome and great for our audience who has been with us since the beginning. But in terms of just keeping the train moving and keeping this project going, it will be me and guests. And I'm nervous about that. There's a part of me that's sad about that. But I'm also really excited. I keep saying, sorry guys. But yeah, that's part of the process. This is our third season, and from the beginning, in terms of just scheduling and interests and topics and structure and everything like that, it's been a challenge at different times. And I think we had big goals and ideas and hopes for the pod as a collective that have just changed over time. Like, priorities change, and everyone has different interests and different practices and different skills and different passion projects and different talents and forms of art and forms of connecting with people. So just riding the waves of that is how we ended up here. And yeah, I'm excited to keep it going. I'm excited to keep introducing our listeners to really dope people who are charting their own paths, who have a lot of wisdom to share, who are inspiring, and just really diving into more evergreen content. I think it's always cool to kind of stay on top of like current events and pop culture and stuff, but I think in doses, I definitely didn't want to build a pod that primarily centered that. Um, I would love to be in a place and to create long form content that's more evergreen, more inspirational, that's more timeless. And that's just kind of the place that we're in right now. So I'm excited to keep it going. I hope you will continue to be excited to tune in and to listen and to support the podcast and continue to share it with your networks and follow along the journey. So a little bit of that. I'm definitely in my era of coming home to myself and stepping into myself more and my purpose and my interest, and this is a part of that process. So I'm excited to share that with you all as listeners. And I hope you'll enjoy the ride too. And I'm interested in hearing more about how you're navigating a season of change. If there's something that you're experiencing now that's a big change for you that you want to share, like, reach out and let me know. Let me know on social. Let me know over email. You can find the Prolific Hub on Instagram and TikTok for now, more platforms coming. And you can also email us at podcast@theprolifichub.com. So I would love to hear about what season of change you're navigating and what that looks like for you. And maybe you'll get a shout out on the next episode. So with that, guys, one thing that's not changing is wanting to build community. We've spoken about that several times in the past, and that's unwavering. If you're here, if you're listening, if you're sharing this intimate time with me, like with us, with this podcast, that means a lot. And I consider you part of my community, and I'm interested in connecting. So we want to continue to build community, whatever that looks like. I hope we get to a place where, there can be events in the future and other fun things. But for now, I'm really excited to build a more intimate community. And I think that will be a really beautiful thing. And also leaning on my community for help. I was listening to a podcast called Buzzcast, and Buzzcast is part of Buzzsprout's, massive portfolio of podcast support. Buzzsprout is the platform that we host our podcast through, and I love listening to Buzzcast because they break down new things happening in the podcasting world and explain things and answer questions and give a lot of valuable insight about how to improve your show and make it better. And I'm always trying to improve the show and make it better. And one thing they were talking about in a recent episode is leaning on your community for help. And that is something I want to open the doors to. It came up on another podcast recently, not just another sex podcast with Samaya. And she mentioned, telling the universe that she's open to receive and things that she desires showing up in different ways and talking about, just a bartering system and using bartering to get the services and everything else that she needs. So I am really excited to open that window up too. I would love to barter with people in my community in a way, guests that we have on the show are doing that. They're lending their time and their energy to speak to this audience and to connect with me and connect with the audience, which is great. And yeah, a lot of work goes into podcasting. It's not just showing up to speak on a mic. There's a lot of work that goes in on the back end. There's pre-production, there's post-production, there's editing, there's creating clips. Like there are all these things that go into it. And right now I am doing that as a team of one, all me. So I definitely would love to connect with folks in the audience who have, the tools, the skills, the time, the energy to support and make this show better. So even if that's just sending in tips about things you want to hear or, ways that you can help, like I would love to open that up to the community. I'm not in a place where I have a team or where I'm like outsourcing work for the show. We tried that in a previous season, but obviously that gets expensive. So right now we're doing everything in-house, and yeah, it can be a lot of work. So there may be times like this episode where the episode is kind of short. So yeah. So that's where I'm at. And yeah, I just want to continue to hold space and build space here for creatives, for path charters, for entrepreneurs, for people who are just out here on their grind, like trying to make a difference and an impact in the world by following their passions, because that's the place that I'm in. So thank y'all for tuning in. Thank you for supporting the podcast. If you made it this far, thank you for making it this far, listening to me ramble for half an hour. But I appreciate you very much. Thank you for listening. If you would like to show your support in a way that's free, share a post on our Instagram or TikTok, share a reel with your audience, leave us a review, let us know what you think, send an email in at podcast@theprolifichub.com. Any of those ways mean a lot. And if you are in a position where you might be able to offer even more support than that, I would love to connect and talk more about that at the same email address. And yeah, I look forward to many great episodes to come. And I thank y'all for tuning into this one. And I will catch you on the next episode. Bye, guys.